What's up, everybody? It's Griffin here. How you guys doing? Hope everything's going good. Today we're going to be comparing two different parks during one event. We're going to be comparing Six Flags Fiesta Texas versus Six Flags Over Texas during the Holiday in the Park event. This past weekend, we recently attended both parks, so I figured it'd be a good compare and contrast video as to which park was the better park overall. We're going to be judging based on rides and activities in the daytime versus Christmas lights and Christmas activities throughout the day and at night. So without any further ado, let's get started. Six Flags Fiesta Texas, which is located in San Antonio, Texas. It's a really good park. It's probably one of the most beautiful parks in the entire Six Flags chain. And personally, one of my favorite parks to go to. They have a really good setup of rides. Pretty intense park. They've got the only park in the Six Flags chain to have two RMCs. So it's got to be good, right? Right. Okay, just making sure. Aside from the ride lineup, the operations there is usually really, really good. There is one day where it's bad, where other days it's amazing. So everybody has one bad day. Holiday in the Park. Start viewing ride operations for Six Flags Fiesta Texas. Six Flags Fiesta Texas, like I said, had a really bad day as far as rider operations go because there was quite a few rides that were down, and the way that the ride situation was handled was really not. It wasn't all that good. Straight to the point. It wasn't all that good. So Six Flags Fiesta Texas is going to get points deducted because, well, they had really bad ride operations. The next thing we're going to talk about is the tree lighting ceremony. Both parks have them. Which park has the better tree lighting ceremony? This one's going to be Six Flags Fiesta Texas. Six Flags Fiesta Texas tree lighting ceremony was way better than Six Flags Over Texas. They included fireworks, the countdown to it. The environment around the tree was great. There wasn't anything too crazy, but they had kind of spotlights up in the sky shooting around, bouncing to the music. And I mean, it was actually, it felt like a ceremony. It was really cool. And then at the end of it, they shot off fireworks to kind of add the exclamation point on it, I guess. And then the tree stayed lit the rest of the night, and it looked really, really beautiful for the rest of the night. So, whereas Six Flags Over Texas, it was Santa Claus coming out, talking, but not actually talking. Doing little sparklers on the four corners of the tree, and then playing a little bit of music with the lights. So that's why we say Six Flags Fiesta Texas definitely has the better tree lighting ceremony. Christmas lights. Fiesta Texas has an amazing setup of Christmas lights around the park. It's definitely something that I would recommend to check out. But Six Flags Over Texas went above and beyond when it comes to Christmas lights. I covered in a previous video, I stated that everywhere that Christmas lights could be, there usually were. Like, there was a few places that didn't have Christmas lights, but it was not a whole lot. Most of that park was lit up to the gill. Like, even the oil derrick was lit up with Christmas lights. And I've got that in a video, in my previous video. And then there was the light show at Over Texas, which really, really made a big difference in terms of what you would actually expect. Because Six Flags Over Texas, this has been a really rough year for Six Flags Over Texas. You know, everything with the pandemic, and then, you know, sales costs and the shutdown that happened, and, you know, being able to reopen and not having a park president for an extended period of time. And then they get a park president that comes from, well, no less Six Flags Fiesta, Texas. Used to be the marketing manager there. So Ron's a really good guy, and he's really, really good at his job. And we could tell uh, because like I said, we made this trip every week where we'd go to Fiesta, Texas one day or 2 days, but we would still go to Over Texas. We've been going to Over Texas all year, just like Fiesta, Texas, and we could tell the difference in the park almost immediately as soon as Ron became president of the park because the train started running and there's so many things that made changes in efforts to Hollow Fest. The same thing applies to Holiday in the Park. What we expected based on this year's trend, our expectations really weren't all that high. So when we got there and we saw what was happening and everything that was going on, it was kind of like, where was this, during Hollow Fest, But it was really great. Their light selection was amazing. Like I said, the light show really, really set it off for that. You could have no lights in the park, and you can have a couple areas lit up and have the light show in the middle of the park, and it would probably still beat Six Flags Fiesta Texas because that's how in sync and everything was with the light show. It was out there, and it really, 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 really put it on the map. Decorations. When you walk into Six Flags Fiesta Texas, as soon as you walk in and you go over there, and Hollow Fest would be like a whole soul harvest area. This year, I don't know what it's called, but they've got a really big reef that says Holiday in the Park that you can take pictures. They've got like 3 different Christmas presents that are wrapped up, set up for pictures, and it looks great. But then at night, it looks amazing. That area, the beginning area of the park, looks fantastic. The decorations look great. Some of the decorations were lacking. They were there, but they kind of were like, "Meh, we're here." It's kind of just showing up for work, but not doing anything. And so that it's kind of the vibe I got off of it. Some of the lights, like some of them were out there in the distance, but they were just kind of by themselves. There was nothing around them to kind of theme them. They were just out there by themselves, like a random Christmas tree out there in the middle of nowhere. And then there was like quite a bit of Christmas trees on Candy Cane Lane that were not lit up. They were just there. So at nighttime, you can't really see them unless you're just like up right close to them. So I feel like that's where the decoration area suffered. Six Flags Over Texas had some of those areas where they were kind of struggling a little bit, but not nearly as much. Mostly everything that they had out was lit up. It was pretty obvious that they weren't done putting up Christmas lights yet, because if you walk through the park, you can see some of the trees that are only half lit. So the assumption is nobody's going to leave a half lit tree. They're going to fully light it up. So they're probably going to make some changes during the week, probably this week before next weekend, and probably add more. I'm assuming Fiesta Texas will do the same because they want to try to step it up, because they know they have a lot of people coming out and they've got a lot of content creators coming out. A lot of enthusiasts coming out that are saying they're giving positive and negative feedback. They've also got events coming up. They've got a TTS event coming up this weekend, so they're probably going to step it up, especially for that. Food-wise, both parks offer hot chocolate. I do believe with a membership, it costs us like $2.50 for a glass of hot chocolate, where the normal person it would cost them about $5. So you're paying $5 for a cup of hot chocolate. Based on experience, the hot chocolate at Six Flags Fiesta Texas was watered down, and it was a little cold. Whereas Six Flags Over Texas, the hot chocolate was not watered down. It tasted like hot chocolate, and it was really, really hot. We had to wait a little bit before we actually drank it. And then some of the food we got during lunchtime at Fiesta Texas was a little burnt. Whereas Six Flags Over Texas, it was kind of cooked with a little more pride. Six Flags Fiesta Texas usually thrives the most on quality and not quantity. This trip that we took, it was kind of the opposite. It's like they were focusing more on quantity rather than quality. whereas Six Flags Over Texas was focusing more on quality and not as much on quantity, which is usually the other way around, which is really, really shocking because we were really surprised the fact that as much stuff was out and as many things that were happening at Over Texas. There was more happening at Over Texas than was happening at Fiesta, Texas. Um, and I think that has a lot to do with not the officiating and more to do with the park itself. Six Flags Fiesta Texas it's there and everything's kind of just close together. So it's really not that far to walk to get from one side of the park to the other. Whereas Six Flags Over Texas has a bigger park overall. So having a bigger park, being in the chain longer, you're going to have more stuff. You're going to have more opportunities to put more lights out. Shows. Six Flags Fiesta Texas offered more and better shows. They really did. They did the Majesty of Christmas, which had live animals in it. So that was awesome. They also had the Looney Tune Christmas. That was awesome. But Six Flags Over Texas shows were just people singing Christmas songs. They were pretty much Christmas caroling. They had the same people that did the tree lighting ceremony was also doing a show. I think they call the Tinsel Tones or whatever they are. And then there was another like country band singing Christmas songs. But aside from that, that's pretty much it. That and the light show. So that Fiesta Texas, I believe, definitely has the upper hand when it comes to their shows. Their shows were just way better. They had more characters in them. I'm not sure what Over Texas is going to do in the future to kind of implement this to try to improve it, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But as of this point, Six Flags Fiesta Texas has the better shows. What about everything overall as a whole? The overall experience this past Friday we had at Fiesta Texas was one of the few times where we kind of didn't really want to come back, but we will. It was just the situation with the rides, and then it was just a lot of little things. You know, it was nothing really, really big. We had a great time. It's an amazing park, but it was just a lot of little things, you know, and it gives plenty of room for improvement, which I know they will because they probably know that Friday was a pretty bad day, and I'm pretty sure they'll step it up in the future. Because their park president, Jeff, he's an amazing guy. He's definitely always trying to make the park better and trying to do whatever he can to try to please the customer, so to speak. So I have no doubt that they're going to make, you know, more positive changes to implement in the future. But the overall experience at Six Flags Fiesta Texas, it was good, but it wasn't great. It was one of those things that you're like, man, I usually have the most fun here. What happened? You know, that's kind of like what it is. It's kind of like we don't kind of throw it off, oh, well, it was so bad, I'm never going back there. Because that's not true, because we've been going to that park all year. We know how good the park, we've seen the park at its best, we've seen the park at its worst. And this past Friday was definitely the park not at its worst. So definitely going to be going back. Six Flags Over Texas, this is probably the best I've seen the park run all year this past weekend. They had so many good things going for them. None of their rides were down when we got there. And when we left, all the rides were still running. Like I said, the Christmas light selection was great. The Frosty Snow Hill was open and operational. They even added it to the Flash Pass to get more people to come in. They even added a photographer setup to take your picture when you're going down the slide that you can use your picture pass for. It's just a lot of the things that you wouldn't expect from Six Flags Over Texas, they kind of did. The food quality was really great. The ride quality was great. I mean, you know the ride selections at Over Texas. It's up in the air. The kid rides were fun. The ride lines were not really all that long, but I mean, overall, everything at Over Texas way above the expectations that I had for that park. So I was actually really, really surprised that everything was set up as well as it was. Um, so let's answer the ultimate question. Which park so far is better at Holiday in the Park? Is it Six Flags Fiesta Texas or Six Flags Over Texas? Now, just because I choose one or the other, this is my own personal opinion, and I'm basing it based on the trip that we had last weekend. I love both of these parks. They offer a lot of great opportunities, and there's a lot of opportunities for both parks to grow. But as of now, Six Flags Over Texas is definitely the better park for Holiday in the Park. I think a lot of it has to do with the size of the park, but I think more of it has to do with the motivation behind what this event, Holiday in the Park, means for that park. The park has been failing as a park all year, like legit. Rider operations, rider quality. Let's not even talk about Labor Day weekend and how much of a failure that was. The employees people were like walking into stores and stealing stuff, and I mean it was to a point where it was really, really bad. It was to a point to where I actually didn't want to take my son there because I didn't want him to see any bad habits and kind of pick up on them. But like I said, they got a new park president who kind of has hit the ground running and kind of turned the park around. It's done a 180. We're actually talking about doing an event at Six Flags Over Texas next year. So that should tell you right there that right then and there that there's been definitely a lot of improvement really, really fast. One of the biggest improvements that I noticed is as soon as the new park president hit the ground running, the first thing to happen is every single ride in the park opened. They opened Justice Lead and they started testing and running the train. Justice Lead had been closed all year since COVID happened. It had been closed. The train had also been closed due to COVID. So as soon as the new park president came in, he hit the ground running. He said, screw it, we're going to open everything up. If we can run it, we can run it. We're going to sanitize and we're going to be safe and be clean and social distance while we do it. And that's what they did. And right after that, they started running rides at full capacity right around the same time that Fiesta Texas did. So I believe that Six Flags Over Texas had more of a motivation to kind of outdo Six Flags Fiesta Texas because it was kind of their landmark of, hey, this is the park to beat. So you coach your employees to do so and you motivate them to want to be able to do so and encourage them. And I think that's what really led to it. They were trying to be better than Fiesta Texas. And this past weekend they were. I hate to say it. I cannot believe I'm actually saying that. Like I've been saying all year about how much this park has went to shit and how there's no hope for it to ever come back. But it's starting to look up, and it's starting. Like it was the first ever Six Flags park, and there's definitely a lot of potential. And we've always known that there's always been a lot of potential at this park, but now it's actually a light at the end of the tunnel. So a big shout out to Ron McKenzie for actually doing a bang up job with Holiday in the Park and doing such a great job since you've taken over there. But yeah, that's going to do it, man. Six Flags Over Texas so far. We'll be going back next weekend to Six Flags Over Texas, taking the kiddo back there so he can have another good time and roast some more marshmallows so they can get the marshmallows all over his damn face. But hey, what's fun without a little marshmallows, right? All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for this one. Like always, peace. Say bye-bye. Say bye-bye. Say bye-bye. Bye. Bye. All right.